What's up everybody, Stone from Stick on the Ice here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be accepting all trades from the Montreal Canadiens for the next 3 seasons. We already know what this team's comprised of, so let's get right into it. Our first trade is just coming days into the season from the Ottawa Senators. They're giving us a second and third rounder in exchange for Montreal legends Josh Brook and Riley Kidney. Yeah, I have absolutely no clue who either of these guys are. There's a lot of moving pieces in a trade with St. Louis. Montreal sending 2 prospects along with 2 third rounders to St. Louis for a second, a third, and Tyler Bozak. Using some of the picks they've acquired, Montreal is sending a third, a fourth, and a prospect to the Minnesota Wild for Matt Zuccarello. I also want to mention I have the salary cap turned off. The reason for that is I want to allow as many trades as possible to be made. After using up a few picks, Montreal is going to swap picks with the Nashville Predators. In the process, they're picking up a young player. The forward depth continues to be bolstered with the acquisition of Victor Arvidsson from the Los Angeles Kings. Another trade is going to be made with the Ottawa Senators. Similar to the trade earlier in the season, we're sending them a prospect and 2 picks. In exchange, are getting a second and third rounder. But we're going to turn some of those picks into players. The Canadiens are sending a prospect and a fourth to the Kings for Alex Iafallo and 2 late draft picks. And our final trade this season has Joel Edmondson and 2 later round draft picks going to Columbus for a second in 2023 and a fourth in 2022. After all the trades were made, this is what the Montreal Canadiens are looking like. I think we made a few nice moves to improve our team, but I don't think it was good enough for us to make the playoffs. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. 75% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you enjoy daily NHL 22 content, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell on so you can be notified of when I upload. And I would be right, as the Montreal Canadiens are finishing with a 41-36-5 record, and we're missing the playoffs. Our leading scorer this season was Brendan Gallagher, who's potting 31 goals and 33 assists for 64 points. Coming in second was Tyler Toffoli with 24 goals and 37 helpers for 61 points. And rounding out the top 3 is going to be Nick Suzuki with 56 points. When the playoffs came to an end, the Leafs are coming out on top as Stanley Cup champions with Mitch Marner taking home the Conn Smythe. Only a single trade was made during the offseason, which had Montreal acquiring 2 third rounders from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Heading into year 2, Montreal didn't make any huge free agent signings, so this team's almost identical to the team that missed the playoffs last season. It's time to use some of the draft picks we've acquired though and turn them into players. We're doing exactly that by sending 2 seconds to the Islanders in exchange for Adam Pelech and a 4th rounder. Our second and final trade of this season has Montreal sending a third to St. Louis in exchange for Brandon Saad. And just like that, the trade deadline is passed and this is what our team's looking like. The 2 moves that we did make are definitely going to help this team a lot. And we saw improvement in this team as they're finishing with a 43-31-8 record, which is good enough for 12th overall and a spot in the playoffs. Leading this team in scoring once again was Brendan Gallagher with 35 goals and 32 helpers for 67 points. Coming in second was Nick Suzuki, who's potting 25 goals along with 39 assists for 64 points. And rounding out the top 3 is going to be Tyler Toffoli, who's recording 58 points. So here's what the playoff picture's looking like. In the first round, we're going to have ourselves an entertaining rivalry matchup between the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. Boston would be too much to handle, and Montreal is falling in 5 games, while Toronto goes on to win the Stanley Cup once again with Mitch Marner taking home the Conn Smythe. A handful of moves were made during the offseason. The first has Montreal swapping picks with St. Louis. Another pick was acquired from the Washington Capitals in exchange for a prospect and 2 picks. Using some of the picks Montreal has acquired, they're picking up Ryan Johansson and Matt Waugh from Nashville for a 3rd rounder from St. Louis and a 4th rounder from the New York Islanders. Picks continue to be shipped out, and Montreal continues to bolster the D-line with the acquisitions of Adam Larson and Jamie Alexiak from Seattle in exchange from a 2nd from Chicago and a 2nd from Washington. So this is what our team's looking like heading into our final year. I think we made a lot of nice moves during the offseason, and there's a possibility we could finish at the top of the league. Montreal would make 5 trades before the trade deadline came around. The first had them acquiring Evan Rodriguez and a 5th from the New York Islanders in exchange for a 4th and a 5th. Nick Paul would be traded from Minnesota along with a 4th rounder to Montreal for a 3rd and a 6th. The 5th rounder we got from the Islanders would be flipped to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Oscar Klefbom and a 5th. After a short stint in Montreal, Evan Rodriguez would be sent to Tampa Bay along with a 7th rounder for a 3rd round pick. And the final trade of this video has Montreal swapping 7ths with Winnipeg. After all the moves that have happened over the past 3 years, this is what our team's looking like. We have come a long way from where we were at the very beginning. What happened next is something I never would have expected. The Montreal Canadiens are finishing 3rd overall in the entire league with a 50-25-7 record. The depth on this team was really seen as we had 7 players with over 50 points. Leading this team for the third year in a row was Brendan Gallagher, who's picking up 31 goals and 36 assists for 67 points. Coming in second was Nick Suzuki with 15 goals and 49 assists for 64 points. And rounding out the top three is going to be Tyler Toffoli with 22 goals and 41 assists for 63 points. Here's what the playoff pitch is looking like. Montreal would go on a run, but unfortunately, they were stopped in the conference finals by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who somehow made the Stanley Cup final in all 3 years. Who would have thought? If you enjoyed this video, I definitely recommend checking the one out on screen, and if you haven't already, make sure to drop a like and subscribe.